Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 100 today for the Russian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode then, at the Singapore Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But episode 100, a little bit less important than it was last game, because 100 fell on the season finale of Season 5. Unfortunately though, since the season has been extended to 21 rounds, it's slowly moved away from 100. So it's not, in fact, really that much important. And in fact, it's a pretty annoying Grand Prix to fall on, the Russian Grand Prix. If it was a different Grand Prix, it definitely would have probably made it more of a milestone. But alas, it's Russia, it's Sochi. It's probably going to be a pretty straightforward Grand Prix in terms of the strategy, but it may be a bit more interesting in terms of how it goes for us, because you can clearly see on the performance chart today, Renault have made an upgrade. They've plateaued now for the last 5 episodes, which made me think that they were saving all their resource points to make sure they were going to spend points against the R&D reset for the engine. But no, they've come up with an upgrade now. They're trying to catch us, and this is what happened last season, but a little bit earlier on in the season. And also, we did not have this advantage we had the luxury of having at Singapore and Italy in the performance chart. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, but in the past, when Renault have upgraded to this amount, I think that's either an ultimate upgrade or 2 majors maybe. Whenever they have upgraded this amount, they have exponentially improved on track. So we'll have to see how that goes. Long back straight, if they have improved their engine or the lightweightness of the chassis, then we could have a fairly big challenge from them. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. And we're going to do that just now as we enter Q1 then. All sunny skies for now. It looks like it might be a bit more overcast though for Sunday, but you never know. Singapore wasn't forecast for any rain, and there was some at the end, so there might be some rain later to come. You just can't tell really sometimes with this game. But I have good news. But first of all, I mean, we do get into Q2. That's some good news as well after 2 runs there, and actually we're 1-2 in the session in Q1, so straight away I was thinking, okay, our car's going pretty well around here. But good news, if you did watch last episode, you would have known that I had some steering wheel issues. I couldn't quite work out what on earth my wheel was feeling like. For some reason, the force feedback felt very funny. It is now fixed for some reason. I think Singapore, I just came to that race weekend and the wheels started to act up, because at Russia, it felt perfectly fine during qualifying. We get through into the top 10 shootout there with only 1 run, which was really good, because it means I have now 2 fresh sets of Hypersoft tyres to use in the top 10 shootout here, and we're probably going to need them, because by the time we get to the end of our lap, we come across a line, and it's not going to be P1, not going to be the front row, in fact, as we got the McLarens looking pretty damn good ahead of us. So we're going to have to take a second run to take another stab at it. And so my surprise actually is we went on to our second flying lap, setting a purple time in the second sector, but Leclerc had got ahead of me, Vettel ahead of me as well, which is not least surprising, but Leclerc definitely was, so definitely a lot of time maybe to find on the table. The track evolving quite a fair bit. You can see I've gained quite a fair bit of time actually in this lap, and across the line, and it will be P3 on the road then behind Fernando Alonso, but Nico Hülkenberg, the reigning world champion, is the one on pole position. So on the whole, looks like the Renault upgrade's working quite well, but Carlos Sainz was a fair bit down the order. So at the same time, I don't know honestly how the race pace is going to be for Renault, but Alonso looking pretty damn good, and Van Dorn right up there as well, just behind Vettel. So the McLarens might be quite strong around here, but the fact I was quite close to Vettel 3-4, it seems like that is actually where the car is going to be. So this might be a bit of a closer fight than I thought initially going into this episode with those upgrades there for them. And with the wheel fix, I'm looking forward to this one a lot more than I was at Singapore, which was pretty much a survival episode of just getting through to the end of that Grand Prix and a bit of a struggle. This one we can actually go out there and push hard and hopefully try and go for at least finishing off in 3rd place on the podium, but more so hopefully aiming for further than that and looking forward rather than backwards for Alonso and Hülkenberg at the start. So let's go to the grid and see how we do.
Welcome one and all to the Russian Grand Prix. We're just a stone's throw from the Georgian border here at Sochi as we get ready to begin the race that served up an absolute cracker back in 2015. A last lap collision between Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas sparked controversy in that race, so let's hope the racing is just as tight today. Built on the shores of the Black Sea, the Sochi Autodrome is a 3.6-mile tour around some of the venues built for the 2014 Winter Olympic Games. Close barriers may make overtakes more challenging, but with 56% of the lap taken absolutely flat out, we certainly won't be wanting for pure speed. A fitting arena then to do battle at the pinnacle of motorsport. And alongside me to take you through it all is none other than Anthony Davidson. This was a circuit that I think in its inaugural race got off to a bit of a shaky start, but since then it's really drawn the fans in and become a very popular event. What do you think changed?
Well, this just goes to show the importance of fixing problems as and when you discover them. As a complete unknown quantity in 2014, the tyre choice was quite conservative, which didn't really allow much in terms of different strategy options. So it was pretty much as you were from lights to flag. But that was a great learning experience, and we came back the next year and had a really exciting Grand Prix, with battles for the podium going on all the way to the final lap. So hopefully we'll be treated to more of the same this year.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Nico Hülkenberg lines up on pole position, and the engineer completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Van Dorn, Charles Leclerc and Gasly, Sainz, Ricciardo, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, Verstappen, Alonso, they've taken a grid penalty, Marcus Ericsson and Hartley, Magnussen, Grosjean, Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon, Stroll and Sergei Sirotkin rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So we've been given a little gift here at the very start of the Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso has been hit with a grid penalty, so we're now on the front row of the grid. But like I said at the very start of the video, is going to be a very simple strategy. The Hypersoft tyres to the Ultra is a simple one-stop at Russia. But obviously, we're going to have to fight Hülkenberg for this. And, well, it's going to be an interesting run into Turn 1 and then Turn 2. Obviously, Turn 1 just being the kink. But here we go then. Let's make the most of it from the front row. A clean run ahead of us. No cars ahead. Just staring at those 5 red lights for the Russian Grand Prix in very overcast conditions, but we're off and underway for the Grand Prix. It's a very good start from us, actually, and we're tucked in right behind Hülkenberg, who swoops across to the apex of Turn 1 to cover me off. He's still first place. We're second, though, and catching the toe. And could we go for this down to Turn 2? It's a very bold dive, and we've made it work. We somehow slowed down the car. It seemed impossible to do so because I broke so much later than Hülkenberg. Then I really thought in the cockpit, whilst I was driving myself, I would have locked up there and gone straight on, done a bit of a Nico Rosberg a la 2014, but somehow we slowed that down, and we're up into first place then of the Russian Grand Prix. A dream start for us. Not so much for Sebastian Vettel, who in the background there got a horrendous getaway and pretty much got bullied in Turn 2 and pretty much bottled what was a good third place there. He was up to third, got a bit of slipstream for myself, then into Turn 2, you can see the big dive from me, but then he gets passed by not only Gasly, Van Dorn, Leclerc, gets shoved off the road then by Sainz, bullied across by both Mercedes cars. He's down to P8 here in the span of 2 corners. He's gone from P3 to P8 at the opening sector of the Grand Prix, P9 even, as the Red Bull just waltzes down the inside like he's taking a nap in a cockpit there, and it's not even, this is the end of Sector 1. Vettel well and truly bottled that, and it's a disaster start for him there, so I don't know what on earth went on. If he had a car issue, I really hope he did for his sake, but very, very odd situation then. But we move on later, on to lap 1 then, and Hülkenberg's will be right on the back of us there, so that Renault upgrade working well, and he's got the straight line speed as well as Van Dorn in the background closing up. But for now, we just do the defensive driving against Van Dorn, but he's got the inside line. He'll have the advantage here. We're going to do our best. We've locked up on front tyre. We've got a little bit deep, and it's going to be a very close piece of racing there on the left-hander between myself and Hülkenberg, who just about manages to find his way around the outside, and he's up into P1 then. So the Renault upgrades truly have worked. Of course, unlike last season, a little bit less worried about it because we have got that gap in the championship that we can play around with. Last season, it was a lot closer at this point in this season when Renault kind of kicked up into high gear and started dominating the races. So I'm not too worried, and we still have a long way to go in this Grand Prix. And by lap 3, we are catching up to Hülkenberg, actually. He goes a little bit deep and actually almost causes a bit of contact with us there as we have to slam on the brakes. And so a kind of a not on purpose brake check there from Hülkenberg as he just went deep, almost broke our front wing off there, so slowed ourselves down, and Van Dorn now is behind me lurking about there. We both got DRS off each other then in a kind of tandem DRS train of Hülkenberg leading the way, and so we're sticking with him. And on the minimap you can see there's a bit of a gap forming after the Mercedes car, and it looks like that red dot that is Vettel is not managing to keep up with that Mercedes. So I would like to say Vettel does have some sort of issue, as now lap 4, Hülkenberg very defensive to Turn 1. We try something on the outside there, but we get spewed wide and we just can't get the power down. So we're getting really close close to making this move, but just can't quite get there. And by the end of lap 4, the safety car is going to come out. We've got 19 runners left, so I'm assuming maybe for that, for a car still parked up there, I think it's Max Verstappen who's out of the Grand Prix for Red Bull Racing, unfortunately. But the full safety car called out at a weird time, really, because obviously it's so early on in the Grand Prix, and it's usually a one-stop here from the Hypers to Ultras. And so me and Hulkenberg are both going to come in. Hulkenberg, I saw he was coming in, so I basically just followed him in to cover him off there. But in the end, I think this will be a good tactic for us, because we'll get effectively a free pit stop, and it will be our only pit stop of the Grand Prix, because everyone's going to bunch up back together under the safety car, and we'll already be on a set of tyres that we're going to the end of the Grand Prix with. So this could work out really well for us. Equally though, this might mean we hit a bit more tyre wear at the end of the Grand Prix, but that is going to have to be something we manage later on. For now, I want to cover off Hulkenberg, and actually, in fact, we don't even cover him off. We overtake him in the pit lane there. You can see there's no yellow car in front of us. He's behind us now. So my Ferrari pit crew have done wonders there in the pit stops. Really fast pit stop there for the Scuderia, and we've got ahead of the Renault Works team there. So literally a team effort there. And so now as we bunch up for the safety car restart on lap number 6, we'll be in P18 ahead of Hulkenberg. And now it's a case of, as we go green, just trying to get the power down and try and make these moves as fast as we can and not get bogged down in too much traffic if we can help it. I'm going to start that journey off by hopefully getting past Lance Stroll, the young Canadian, on the left-hand side there. Nice swooping move, a little bit off circuit there, but he was squeezing us also quite harshly into the last 2 corners. And we're up into P17. Charlie Whiting not saying anything about it. So lap 7 now. So we've got 20 laps now to go on these Ultras. So that does seem like a fair bit, but the abrasion is so low here at Sochi, we should be able to make it work. So now down to turn 2. It's a very late move on Sorokin there. I'm not gonna lie, like that was such a late decision to actually make that dive bomb. It was like an inch from basically slamming right in the back of Sorokin, because he broke so early for some reason there. Just a lack of downforce, I guess, from the Williams car. So if I had not moved my steering wheel last minute, that would have been just a slam dunk smash into it in his rear end. So lucky we got away with that, and then we got past Sergio Perez very easily then, and also his counterpart Esteban Ocon, his teammate, on the outside of turn 2 on lap 8. So we're really getting through. It's pretty much a slideshow of overtakes, and this time actually Hulkenberg follows us through, and he's going to have a try and pop on us. So the first time we're going racing once again with Nico Hulkenberg since the safety car period. We fend him off there. So far he's just been following us through and kind of making us do all the hard work, really. We're just kind of punching a hole through this traffic for him on his behalf, but he tried a little pop there. But there's no point really of us fighting right now as a kind of duo here, because we're both we're both working towards the same goal of getting through this traffic. So we're trying to get past Romain Grosjean desperately, but he's proving a little bit more difficult than the Williams car was. And now onto the main straight, Hulkenberg on the right. We're going to have a bit of an awkward 3-wide situation. Maybe we try and go on the left hand side, but Grosjean's going to block that off, and so we almost nearly get squeezed into that wall that actually kinks a little bit right. So that would have been a nasty situation. Instead, we decided to go down the inside there, and that was the much better decision, because we get both those moves done in one corner. Then we're up into P13, chasing after Marcus Ericsson then next up, and that will be an easy one on the main back straight with DRS also available, but Ericsson very slow into the corner, so compromises our line, and so that does allow Hulkenberg to also close up. So that might be also a pass for Hulkenberg there. So Ericsson, not a very nice time there, being passed by 2 cars in one straight, but we're now both tandem making our way up once again in one more position up into P12. It'll be a P11 soon enough, I would say, on Kevin Magnussen. We close up now on lap number 10. He goes defensive. We're on the outside there, but like with the attempt we made on Hulkenberg earlier on in the opening laps of the Grand Prix, I kind of get drifted a little bit left there a bit too much and can't get the power down. Instead, through turn 3, we have the momentum there. The slipstream down the inside will go over the off-camber right-hander, and we just about make that there. If it wasn't for Magnussen hesitating into that corner and giving us the space there, that could have been a bit of a nasty Kimi Raikkonen v Bottas sort of situation in that right-hander there. Now we're going to catch up to Fernando Alonso. It's lap 11 though, and it's going to be soon time for pit stops there, so we don't actually quite get Alonso on the end of that straight, who's going quite slow now, so very odd. Alonso is in he got P2 fair and square in qualifying, and we lock up quite badly into this awkward chicane. But, he qualified on the front row fair and square, got the grid penalty, but for some reason so far in this Grand Prix, he's still been there in P10. Of course, the safety car kind of played into it, but still, he didn't make any positions up earlier in the race, really, from, many positions up from where he was in P12, I think, on the grid. So, a bit of an odd situation there. Again, this season, McLaren have just gone missing in a way. They're there performance-wise, but on the actual race day, they just have these weird swings of just not really existing in the race, really. But now at the moment, we've got something more to worry about on lap 12. Hulkenberg with plenty of clean air now to play with DRS available for him. We're on overtake mode in rich mix. Despite that, you know, literally every cylinder firing on this car. The Renault with DRS, that's the difference there, just waltzes past us. And this is at a crucial point where I think on this next lap, everyone's going to pit ahead of us in the top 5 there. And we're going to get up into first and second respectively in this Grand Prix. So now, as we move on onto the main pit straight, opening DRS into turn 2, we're going to get that place back. And that will be now this time a lot more important for the lead of the Russian Grand Prix then. So as you can see, it's been a good decision for me and Hulkenberg to pit under the safety car, but now we've got to fight him once again to keep this first place, and he's going to have DRS once more on this back straight on the left-hand side, on the outside to the inside for the next left-hander. Under the bridge we go, and it's so close between us on the left-hand side there. We've got the line though, and we're going to be neck and neck into this very awkward chicane, so off camber, and I'm going to try and squeeze him out if we can on the left. We have to obviously leave him the room. There's a certain point where I have to stop squeezing him in, so I have to give him the room. Lock up on the front right, so we bang into him unintentionally there. That's going to help us into the last corner to keep ahead. But now, actually, that's probably worked in his favour, because now he has a free run at me to switch back on the right-hand side. We're going to squeeze him to the wall on the right, to the apex of turn 1, which is not really even a turn, to be honest. And now we go towards turn 2. No DRS for either of us, so that was very odd. So pure racing there, no DRS involved, and ultimately he locks up on the front right and loses a heap of time. And as he does that, Sebastian Vettel sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so the Ferrari clearly has some speed, and maybe Vettel's finally trying to recover from that horrendous disaster start he had. But on lap 15 then, he's going to dive down my inside and get that very easily there. At this stage, I'm trying to protect my tyres as well, because obviously I want to go to the end of the Grand Prix on these. We have to be careful, and clearly Hulkenberg is just not actually protecting his tyres too much. So I had a sneaking suspicion that he might be trying a 2-stop, because he's done that before at the Russian Grand Prix here, and it's been a very odd strategy to play with. And what you know, on that lap, the very lap where I let him go very easily, he comes in for a second pit stop there. So it was a good strategy for me to save my tyres, because we need to, because now, you know, we are going to hit some serious tyre wear towards the end of this Grand Prix. You know, we've been on these tyres now for nearly 7 more laps than these guys. Van Dorn second place, Carlos Sainz in third, Charles Leclerc in a very surprising and impressive P4 in the much improved Sauber there. Then you got P5 is Hamilton, and then you've got Hartley just about fending off, or actually unsuccessfully fending off Vettel, because he locks up there. And so good to see Vettel making his way back through up into P6 there, but has still plenty of moves to do. But Van Dorn and Carlos Sainz are going to start to catch us up, so it was a good idea for me to protect those tyres, and probably just not that good from Hulkenberg's side, because now he's way down the order, I think even outside the top 10. So very odd strategy for the second year in a row. Hulkenberg and his side of the garage, at least, with a very weird strategy, is now Carlos Sainz's teammate though around the outside. A very nice battle here that's been going on now for a few corners here, as I've been talking about Hulkenberg, Van Dorn v Sainz, and Leclerc is right in there as well. And I already said it, but it's so impressive to see that Sauber there in P4, so they're really improving. It's been really cool to see where Sauber are in Season 6, depending on the regulation change there. But Carlos Sainz up into P2, then Van Dorn down to P3. Hamilton not too far off as well in the much improved Mercedes as of late in the last few episodes. But now we move on to lap 21, 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And Carlos Sainz now is going to be the Renault attacking us. And so if it's not Hulkenberg, it's going to be Carlos Sainz, and he's going to have a lot of speed here in the main straight. He's going to get past us on the left-hand side with no qualm, really. I try to squeeze him a bit, but, you know, in a straight line, really, you can't really do too much. And in the brake zone, I just don't have the grip compared to him on those fresher tyres. I'm going to try my best, though, to stick with him, because we've got 6 laps left. The tyre wear's not horrendous at the moment, but the thing is, I don't have too much fuel to play around with. You can see at the moment I'm standard mixture for a good reason, because if I go rich this entire time, I'm going to run out of fuel. So I need to pick my moments of when I go rich, like this main pit straight, where I bump it up to rich mix, go overtake mode. And with DRS, though, actually, on this straight, we might keep Sainz honest, and we're going to need this DRS also to help us get away from Van Dorn and Leclerc in the distance. But into turn 2, Sainz locks up on the front right there. He goes very slow on the right-hander, and so we swoop round the outside then through turn 3. Can we hold this through for a very cheeky move to the inside? This is going to have to be a very bold dive bomb here. We're going to have to also really trust Sainz. We lock up on the front right. He's gone deep himself, and we just managed to get back in ahead, but that was also due to, in part, Sainz going wide already and deep into that corner. Actually, side by side now with Van Dorn momentarily there, so Van Dorn holds up Sainz. for a moment in the next right-hander. Gives me a bit of breathing room. I say a bit because immediately now on the main straight once again, the following lap 23, Sainz flies past us. You can see at the moment now I'm on low fuel. I have to bump it down to standard, otherwise I will run out of fuel. We both lock up there, and so now the tyre wear is really kicking in because Van Dorn is also on our inside with standard mixture and high momentarily on ERS. He's able to get through, but then he kind of slows down mid-corner, which was a little bit odd, and so we're able to defend successfully into turns 4, and we'll bump it up back into hot lap mode and keep it hot lap and standard, but I can't really afford to go rich mix too many times. We're going to go once more for a final attempt onto the second last lap of the Grand Prix. It's a personal best lap time for us, so the tyre wear, although it's there, the fact that we're using rich mix finally for the first time in 5 laps is helping the lap time more than my tyre wear is affecting it there. So we're going to maintain rich mix for a bit, because you've seen there I've actually done a lot of good work there to save the fuel for like one last attempt here with hot lap mode and rich mix in tandem with DRS as well, closing up to turn 2, but it's just not enough at the moment in this stage. We go towards the end of sector 1 to make a pot maybe. We'll have one last chance on the main back straight with DRS there, and then that will be it, I think, onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. I don't think we'll have another chance because the fuel is already gone, actually. We have to go back to standard mixture, otherwise I will run out of fuel, and that won't be a pretty sight. And so on the back straight, I just can't pull it through. I can't catch him up, and so it's been a real noble try. But like I said, there was the caveat of pitting so early on the safety car that we would hit these tyre issues. And so in the end, it will be Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard, to get his win at the Russian Grand Prix. But we come home in a pretty satisfying P2, to be fair. We finished where we started on the front row, so I can't complain too much there. So all in all, pretty okay day in the office.
Great work. Well done. We're really happy with the podium here.
Brilliant stuff from Renault today. What a superb victory. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Here come today's winning drivers, and what a race it was. This is a team that knows success very well in F1, and they're just itching for even more. Congratulations to the Renault team for their excellent win today.
So it's Sainz winning the Grand Prix, myself in P2. I think he will close up a little bit in the championship and reduce our gap, but like I said, the gap was already, 50-ish, 45 last episode because Vettel got ahead of me at Singapore, and so now it's down to 40 points in the championship. But like I said, at this stage, I'm still feeling comfortable. Even if Sainz goes on a bit of a streak, I think we have the tools to defend, and also there's no saying that next race, Japan, it's a favourite track of mine. I love racing there. There's no reason why we don't turn up and beat Carlos Sainz, and then immediately we have the gap back. So still feeling good about that. Today, it wasn't really Vettel's day. He had a horrendous getaway and didn't really recover that much in that race. Constructors-wise, though, still all good, and we should be able to maybe even wrap this up a little bit earlier in the Constructors. Remember, last season, the Constructors was also on the table versus Renault. I think this time we might be able to actually wrap it up a little bit earlier for Ferrari, so it might go a little bit early, the trophy to Maranello. But we're going to round out the episode then with the last questions and then round out the episode.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You must be happy with the result today.
So yeah, I'm happy with today's result. Obviously gutting not to get first place, but still happy nonetheless. They're going to go with the kind of showmanship answer at the bottom there.
It was more like Dodgems than Formula 1 today, wasn't it?
It did get a little bit dicey in that race, so I'm going to go with the kind of, yeah, it was like Dodgems there, so that's a rep decrease for my old team Haas.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip, or did you just misjudge some corners?
And then just going to go with the no comment here. There's no point really answering that kind of question, really, for the last one there.
Appreciate your time.
And so that's going to see us through to the end of the episode, and actually will be an interesting point for the contract negotiations here, because although doing well, we beat Vettel, we beat Vettel this race. We got beaten by Vettel last time, so that didn't help, but we didn't actually get first place in either of those races. So for the team goal, I don't get an extra 600 resource points, which could have helped us in the R&D, but now my reputation is 0 with the team again, and so contract negotiations conditions-wise for this race. I had to go very low on the contract, so I do get a successful negotiation, but it is probably one of my poorest contracts with Ferrari so far in the 2 seasons I've been with them. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers, really. But, guys, if you did enjoy that episode, pretty much a race-long fight in a way for first place. If it wasn't with Hulkenberg, it was with Carlos Sainz or Van Dorn at some stage in that Grand Prix, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. This has been episode 100 of the F1 2018 career mode, and here's to the next 100. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.